Verse 18. Most assuredly I say to you, when you were younger, you girded yourself and walked where you wished. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will gird you and carry you where you do not wish. This he spoke, signifying by that death he would glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, "Follow me." This is a beautiful part here. The Lord has elevated Peter. He gave him the strength. He built him back up. And he told him after that who he is going to be. Trust in yourself, he said. Trust in your love towards me. And then he said, remember, when you're young, you're able to gird yourself up, to put your own clothes on, and tie your own rope and walk. But later on, he said, you are going to give your life. He basically told him, you are going to be crucified just like I did for me. Could you imagine this? The Lord just told him that for your love to me, you are going to be crucified. They're going to tie your hands on with ropes and crucify you. And if we know later from the stories that Peter was crucified, but he would not accept to be crucified like the Lord. He said, I'm not worthy to be crucified with the Lord. So they crucified him upside down, with his head down. So basically he got worse. But the thing is, the Lord here has told him that, Jesus told him that he was going to be the same way crucified as he was crucified, but except he's going to be upside down. And then he said to him, now that you got the whole picture, now that you love me, now that you're ready, follow me. And Jesus is telling every single one of us, leave whatever it is, carry your cross and follow me. And a lot of people would have a hard time with that. I used to have a hard time with it, always thinking about it. And why would I want, what does that mean? I got to carry my cross and leave everything and follow the Lord. What he's saying is that put me first in your life. It took me 45 years to realize it. And today I know what that is. And here I am, I understand what I'm supposed to do. I'm here to preach his word. Put him first. That's what he said. You know, you think of the worst things possible when the Lord is telling you, follow me. Leave everything and follow me. It's not the worst things. He's just telling you, follow me. Your life is going to be glorified. Because if you glorify God, God will glorify you 10 times more, 1,000% more. Look at how reverent. He glorified God for 30 some odd years for a service for the Lord, humbly and from the bottom of his heart, with all his strength, with all his energy, even during sickness. And the Lord blessed him tenfold, 1,000-fold. He built him the most beautiful church on the West Coast. And he said, here you go. Here you go, my son, my faithful servant. Here you go. You did an amazing job. Here you go. Here, God rewards us. He rewards us for every single thing. We just have to pay attention to see how he's rewarding us and why. But we're not doing it to be rewarded. We're doing it because we love him. But because he loves us, he rewards us. That's how simple that is. And he told him here, follow me. Follow me. Verse 20. Then Peter turned around, saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following, who also had leaned on his breast at the supper, and said to the Lord, who is the one who betrays you? Verse 21, Peter, seeing him, said to Jesus, but Lord, what about this man? Here, John is giving himself again a lot of credit about how much he loved. And again, he wants us to see, he imagined that later on, before this gospel was so written, the Lord has already seen what people will do. The Last Supper was going to be a major scene in Christian homes. The Last Supper, the picture, is going to be very important. That knowing in advance, here is being noted that who's going to be where in the picture, so the picture of the Last Supper can be properly put. And here John is strictly telling us where he was sitting, right next to Jesus, with his hand on his chest, and asking, Lord, who's the one that's going to give you up? So we get the picture. You see, it's not a picture of art. Somebody just drew it and he guessed who's where. God, like Reverend said earlier, tells us everything to the believers. To the believers, he tells us everything in advance. He wants us to know everything. Here in John, he says, and then, but see, Peter, following him, Peter asked, what about John? Verse 22, Jesus said to him, if I will that he remain till I come, what is it that to you? You follow me. So here, Peter is saying, what about him? I mean, you tell me to follow you. Don't you want him to follow you too? I mean, little John here, I like him. He's my buddy, and you like him too. He's your favorite. What about him? And Jesus turned and I said, listen, don't worry about him. Don't worry about John. I have a different plan for him. I have a bigger plan for him. I have a plan that it's going to be a grand plan for him. So he just told Simon, Peter, don't worry about him. Even if he said to him that, so even if I want to wait till I come back, you see, they were thinking now, a lot of theologians will think, oh well, maybe when he comes back, is John going to be alive till his second coming? Well, remember, John was alive for almost 100 years old when Jesus appeared to him in the island of Patmos. And he took him to heaven, to the third heaven, and gave him the opportunity and the command to write things that he's seen or saw and seen. And basically, the book of Revelation that we have today, Jesus was talking about that. That's what I believe. I believe that he was saying that until I come back, if I want to keep him alive until then. Yes, he did. He kept him alive for 100 years, and he was 100 years, and we're going to go on it in details next week, God's willing. We're going to start the book of Revelation. We're going to start that. We're going to discover it in details. But here, he just stated that, the future forecast, that he will, keep him, and he's going to come and see, and again, he will see John. And we know that today. That the book of the Revelation that we're going to see on the island of Patmos that John wrote for us.